Hey tankers, what is up? This is Alexbuildit, and today we'll be taking a look at a very special tank, the IS-3 Defender. A tank which you can grind out a free tier 8 premium if you can sit down and you can endure the grind of grinding through a whole bunch of XP. We'll be taking a look at this amazing beast today, and let's get right down into it. Now, one thing you'll notice when you look at this tank is that it looks all sort of technological, and it looks kind of like futuristic in a way. Sort of like a speed test crash dummy type of thing, like only a mad scientist could create. What's cool about this is that it has a 3-round auto-loading system. This tank is different from a normal autoloader in the fact that there's such long reload times between the shells, about 7.5 seconds, with a very hefty amount of time you have to wait out before the clip is reloaded. Another difference between this and a normal IS-3, besides the custom skin and the autoloading system, is that it fires APCR as its primary, heat as its secondary, and high explosive as its third, instead of having just AP and APCR. I carry things to help the gun zoom in faster. You don't want to miss any shells with such a long reload time, and since this can't carry adrenaline, I carry improved combat rations. The way this mission works is that there are 60,000 tanks available from all the servers, and once that number reaches 0, you'll not be able to get them anymore. Look at the top right here, you see the different stages. That's how much XP you have to earn to get to the Defender tank, or you can just buy it outright on the top right. If you scroll down, you see a list of the stats that the IS-3 Defender has. Now, on the topic of the IS-3 itself, having an autoloading IS-3 was actually a concept, but it did not have a clip. It was actually IS-3A. What we have in Blitz here is the IS-3 Defender, something that they made up, but still I think it looks very cool. The IS-3 was post-World War II, or actually just at the very start of it, a heavy tank they developed that was almost impervious at the time until weapons caught up with the armor just a few years later. It's a really cool looking tank. It's very legendary. One of the best tanks in Blitz, actually. The Defender version is pretty good, though I think the normal IS-3 is slightly better than the IS-3 Defender. Now we're going to take a look and talk about what this tank, the IS-3 Defender, is good and bad at, plus some tips and tricks. Now, the first thing I'll start off with is that it's actually relatively mobile for a heavy tank. Most Soviet heavy tanks are relatively mobile, which does not exclude this one. It says it can get to 40 kilometers per hour, but it can only reach this if it's going down a hill. It averages about 36 kilometers per hour, in other words. The turret armor is exceptionally good for its tier, and the side armor is good too, but it has the weird frontal plates that are weak if they're hit front on. So if you give them a pike nose and you don't angle left or right, it'll have a lot more armor than it would otherwise. But if you show them a flat side, or you're caught in the open by higher tier guns right here, you're gonna get ripped apart. Now, one thing I noticed, with vert stabs and gun lane drive, this thing is freakishly accurate. Look at some of these amazing shots I pulled off. Another thing, when you reload that clip, you gotta be hiding.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
I don't know. I just
Try going around flanks looking for distracted enemies that you can pump about 1,200 damage in about 14 seconds before you have to endure the long reload. But that 1,200 damage is rather exceptional. The J-Panther 2, for example, if you manage to catch it out in the open without a place for it to retreat, will end up getting wrecked. Now, this is the very first game I had, though it wasn't nothing special. I can easily comment and show you what this tank is good and bad at, as it's a good example for it.
As we see, the mobility is decent. It's nothing special, but the mobility can get it up the hill fast. Coming around the corner here, seeing what's going on in the hill and below in the town. Not much is happening. One guy decided to overextend, look like he's going to be hit. Now, one thing about this tank that I dislike is the extremely long reload between the shells. I think maybe it kind of deserves a 4th shell with that kind of reload, but that would probably make it unbalanced. So probably it's good the way it is right now. Peek around the corner, trying just to show my turret. The turret has 8 degrees of gun depression. Now that is pretty darn good. It can also go 18 degrees up, but you don't really usually have to worry about the gun elevation. But the gun depression, 8 degrees, is enough for most circumstances, and it certainly makes this tank good at haul down. especially when the turret itself is extremely trollish and bouncy. Come over, unload a shot. I fired a shot through the T-62 Dragon a little bit earlier. Get the clip reloaded. Looking for the next target of opportunity. This guy's thinking about coming back. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this gun is extremely accurate with low dispersion. This leads to most shells hitting the target, which is exactly what you need, which is why I have a gun laying drive and vertical stabilizer, because I need the shells to hit because of such a long reload time. You have to make the most out of your clip. Come around the corner, see a target of opportunity, I let it aim in just enough, get the clip reloaded, unload a very decent 400 damage. Now, I carry 3 clips of, oh wow, ammo rack, nice job T-43. I carry 3 clips of heat rounds, which you will end up using quite a bit, especially when you fight tier 9s like the E-75. Being able to just penetrate that lower plate with the heat rounds 3 times in a row for 1200 is pretty decent. I also carry 1 clip, 3 rounds of high explosive, because there is the odd RU-251, VK 28.01, all those. And then some of the new light tanks, the rears of tanks, and because you're not penalized for the reload like in PC, it's fairly decent to have some of those on there just in case, because you can insta-switch. Second match, we are going to go ahead, and we are going to be going towards the mill. This is going to be showing you a little bit about hull down, and even if the bullets do go through and you have a weak turret or something like that, which isn't true of this tank, it does minimize the exposure of your tank, which does increase your survivability. Another cool thing about this tank is that on the rear, if you look from the top, there are arcs of electricity going between the engine, and that is pretty darn cool. They don't have a audio effect, you can't hear it going off, but it's still pretty cool. All around, the skin looks pretty mean. You may or may not notice that they're using French tracks on this tank. Those belong, I want to say, to either the B1 or the D1. I am not sure, though. And that might be a hint that maybe French tanks are coming sometime in the future. That would be a lot of fun. Coming around, trying to just show the turret as I come over. That guy was overextending. Here's a chance to use heat rounds. The heat rounds have very decent penetration. If this thing does end up seeing tier 10s, then the heat rounds probably will be sufficient to go through most weak spots of tier 10s. There's 2 shells unloaded, wait for that third one to come. Not even showing myself at all, though I don't even have to risk getting hit till the third one's reloaded. The third one bounces, hit kind of at a weird angle. That T-34 is feeling rather brave, but now I have to endure the long reload. And here I'm keeping him from coming over the hill and hitting us by making him think that I'm already reloading. Or that I already am reloaded. Showing just the turret, like here, I'm keeping his attention so that people who actually have shells loaded can start shooting at him. There's 1 shell directly in. I'm using APCR because I can easily hit his lower plate, and he was distracted. 2 shells in. Get that clip reloaded, get that clip reloaded. And someone else gets the kill. Now it's time to push up. The opponents didn't send enough people over here to the hill. The people who got there got wrecked. And now we are pushing up, looking for this Tiger. Now I'm going to aim for the lower plate of the Tiger because it's extremely weak to fire damage. Wait for the clip to reload, wait for the clip to reload. Come on, come on, come on, come on. And fire. And like I said, it's extremely weak to fire damage. It's extremely weak to getting destroyed. Unfortunately, the rest of this match glitched out, but it was a 4,500 damage game. And I earned 120,000 credits. This thing is a money printing machine. I'm going to be showing you another match now that shows you hull down, peek-a-boom, all tactics that you need to be utilizing with this thing. I've had games where I lose and I still earn 70,000 credits. Mind you, I am using premium time, but that's still like really, really, really good for credit grinding purposes. So I'm thinking about rushing the hill, but I'm not sure who's going to be here, so I decided to play it cautious. I'm just going to come up to the edge here. I'm going to stop, and I'm going to zoom in, showing just my turret. The turret armor is sufficient to bounce even some tier 9s, but tier 10s with heat or APCR probably would be able to penetrate the cheeks of the turret. Already we have someone moving up on our left. Type 59. Get a shell into him. Back up, he misses. I'm kind of a small target, and the Type 59's gun statistics as far as accuracy aren't all that great. Fire, get another shell into him. There's 2 rounds down. Get that third clip, third shell, get that loaded up. Fire, 3 shells right there, about 1200 damage. Now it's time for me to back up and reload. Reload. T20 got in my way there, but I haven't finished reloading it, so that's probably fine. 1 shell in. Reload. The 7.5 second reload time is kind of excruciating, but the even longer one to reload the clip is worse. But it's quite good damage once it's actually ready. So on this last match, we are going to be talking about, is this tank worth it? And while I talk about that in the background, I'm going to be showing you a little bit more about how you play this tank. Get in, unload your 3 shells, preferably in a hull down or peekaboo position, retreat, and reload and repeat as necessary. Now, is this tank worth it? Is it worth 15,000 gold to get off the bat? I think you should wait and try to grind out most of the missions. Although there's only 60,000 of these tanks available, I think that's probably still going to be a surplus after the event is ended in 14 days, unless a lot of people decide to spend 15,000 gold or to gold the rest of the mission wherever they are. Preferably you should grind out at least 6 of the missions, 7 if you have time, 8 if you are an absolute boss at grinding XP. Another thing I noticed is that you can earn additional XP by completing missions. You'll notice that the missions now have extra tokens that you can earn. Some of the tier 10 ones can get you 10,000 free experience right there. Not 10,000 free experience in that it is free experience for researching modules, but tokens in this case. 10,000 tokens towards the next thing, and that is relatively decent. It makes missions very, very important to getting through. Now I'm in a good position. On my right, I notice someone. I unload a first 400 damage on that Black Prince. IS-6 moving up on my left. IS-6 on my right. Reload and get a second shell into him and track him. It looks like they decided to go center, so it's time to just start unloading our clips on the guys in the middle. So, is this tank worth it? In my opinion, yes, it is worth it, but I think you should grind out a lot of the missions beforehand, just to save yourself some money. Unless you are absolutely worried that they're going to run out of tanks, which is a possibility, but I highly doubt they will run out of these. Moving forward, it looks like another IS-3 defender is right here trying to start working on this flank. I move forward. First shell, I am loading heat. The first one goes through. That twirlish IS-3 pike nose can get annoying, so I'm just using heat to be on the safe side. I switch to APCR, see a Black Prince. I want him gone, that way I have one less guy to worry about, because the Black Prince does have decent penetration, and up close he could probably penetrate me in weak spots. Notice right there the enemy IS-3. When I zoomed on him, the plate not facing towards me is red. That's the way you should be playing this tank. When you come towards an enemy, wiggle just a little bit back and forth, left and right. This will change which plates are facing the enemy, which will make it harder for them to penetrate reliably. I am reloading. Reloading, and fire. Fire 1. I managed to hit 1, but it's time for me to retreat. We cannot hold the whole flank by ourselves, because they all shifted their attention towards us. 2 shells in. And IS-6 comes, but thankfully I bounce his shell by showing him he hits the wrong side of the plate because I angled at the last second. On the right is a comet. I'm not going to survive this. I know I am not, because I have such a long reload time. But I did do my part in this match. I did 3,500 damage. Pretty darn sweet. So, is this tank worth it? In my opinion, yes. Start grinding it out. It'll be available for a short time. Get to it, tankers. Blitz on and enjoy the IS-3 Defender.